Contact established with the First Sons. Met a woman who called herself Jane, and she asked me a variety of questions, including whether or not I've ever exhibited extrasensory abilities. Told her I have dream-based ESP and involuntary telekinetic abilities. Jane seemed to mull this over for a while. Then she gave me an address. I was instructed to meet her there at midnight. No other details. 10-day communication delay due to being incapacitated. Met Jane outside of an abandoned warehouse. She put a black bag over my head, then led me in. Counted 2,000 steps and one right-hand turn. She sat me in a chair, strapped down my arms and legs, and left me there. I couldn't stop Kessler from detonating the ray sphere. Damn thing took out 5 or 6 square blocks, killed God knows how many. Found the ray sphere in the blast crater next to some kid. Don't know if he was dead or not, I didn't have time to check. I'm gonna try and hole up somewhere. If anyone is even listening to these things, I need immediate extraction. Please, you've got to get me out of here before Kessler finds me. Don't know how long I sat strapped to that chair, at least a couple of hours. Finally, the bag was removed and this brute of a man stood in front of me. Had to be 7 feet tall and 400 pounds. He told me that he was going to beat me, and if I wanted him to stop, I'd have to do it mentally, with my mind. Then he punched me in the face. Released from the infirmary. Initial assignment is installing and configuring satellite dishes across Empire City. When I asked what they planned on doing with the dishes, I was told to mind my own business. Because the dishes are relatively isolated and secure, I'll use them for my dead drops. For the first 30 minutes or so of the beating, he focused on my midsection, hitting me square on the ribs. I tried to play along and squinted my eyes and gave him looks, trying to make it look like I was really doing something with my mind, but I just made him laugh. After landing 3 straight blows to my head, he bent over and told me to focus, to shape my thoughts and make them real. And if I couldn't do it, he was going to beat me to death. Then he punched me so damn hard I blacked out. Kept in the infirmary for several days. Had my own room, and other than a nurse, didn't see anyone. I tested the door 5 times, and it was always locked. Checked the IV, and they had me on a steady dose of Dolafine. So much for their healing abilities. Was introduced to Kessler today. He has some kind of metal device attached to his right arm, and his face is scarred, probably the result of an accident. One of the other guards told me that Kessler has been the leader of the First Sons for decades, but that he vanishes for long periods of time. Initial impression is that Kessler is a true believer. He has an agenda, and he's going to carry it out. We may have to move against him sooner than we had initially planned. Gained access to the primary lab. Audio surveillance will begin within the next 24 hours. I've placed 2 recording devices in the lab, which should provide optimal coverage. I'm also going to attempt to place devices within the cafeteria and other public places. Change in assignment. I'm now tasked with protecting a woman named Sasha. She's supposedly researching mind control techniques. Something with a spray or a gel. My gut tells me she's a honeypot, so I'll need to be careful around her. Audio recording of Kessler follows.
Test subject number 345A is exhibiting remarkable signs of progress. The pituitary region of the brain has grown by 39%, and small muscle regeneration is nearly instantaneous. I do have some concerns with the lack of proper blood flow to the lower extremities. Oxygen absorption in those areas is off by 3.6%. A rather substantial decrease that could impact the subject's performance. We'll need to perform more tests.
Background information. The origin of the First Sons dates back to medieval Europe, exact date unknown. Because they were viewed as witches or in league with the devil, they were forced to flee to the New World in the 17th century. Once settled in America, the group continued their meetings and experiments, focusing on telekinesis, precognition, and channeling. This is probably apocryphal, but current members claim responsibility for what happened in Salem in 1692 and 93, and use those events to validate their mentalist abilities. Background information. Membership levels surged after the Civil War as they sought out people who shared their interests and beliefs. But it was the arrival of Richard Tate in 1892 that resulted in the creation of what we consider the First Sons. Tate's primary goal was to use the technology of the time to unlock the true power of mentalists. Tate firmly believed that emerging technologies, particularly the work of Edison, could be used to enhance the group's mental powers. discovered a cache of documents relating to the work of Luigi Galvani. It's obvious that someone, probably Kessler, took Galvani's ideas of how electricity interacts with muscles and tried to expand it. Bunch of stuff here about creating a new kind of ion, but I don't understand it. Gonna copy all of this and send it to the P.O. box. Escorted Sasha into the Warren tonight so that she could meet with some older man. Don't know his name, and Sasha made it clear she wanted the meet kept a secret. As for the Warren, it's even worse than I had imagined. Homeless people everywhere, people starving, buildings on the verge of falling down. Someone needs to take a bulldozer to that place. Background information. According to the group's official history, research surged ahead and numerous breakthroughs were achieved under Tate's leadership. Side note, no evidence remains of any specific breakthroughs. Repeated requests to witness anything created during this era were denied. Side note, after Tate's death, the First Sons formally designated Empire City as their base of operations.